their offensive rhythm and flow? What are you expecting tonight?
Well, like any team, when you're missing, an elite player, I think sometimes there's an initial reaction that, the players on that team really respond, in a way where they play at a high level. And particularly when you have a player like Maxey, who, is capable of carrying that load. He's not going to post up. So there's certain aspects of the way the game is played, but for them, what they do defensively with their ability to turn you over, that isn't impacted. You anticipate them playing even faster. It means you got to take care of the ball more to not be in those situations. It means you got to make sure you're getting back, and I think they become, presumably even more aggressive shooting the ball. Tobias is capable of big nights, so there's a lot of, they have a lot of weapons. They're there in spite of his absence and in spite of what an elite player he is.
You've got your share of guys out tonight too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got to keep kind of coming together and battling, and with Clint, and obviously with Hunt, and the hope is that playing through adversity, that you continue to compete and ideally win, but if you can use those situations to get better, and it's not something that's always visible, which is hard, because you want that affirmation, but that's the reality of what it is. That's this league, and you have to approach it with the right frame of mind.
Quinn, with Clint out, Onyeka obviously steps in, and I just want to get a comment from you about his game in Orlando with the 5 blocks. He's very impressive.
I actually talked to him right before the game, and just, I think a big part, something for him, he's an exuberant personality. He's one of those guys that when he comes in the gym, it's always good to see him, and he can pick you up. And, what I shared with him is I would like to see him play that way, consistently, for that to be just part of his approach, because I think that enthusiasm, translates. It's not, that's not something you can just, at your beck and call, you just like add that, sometimes the game, you respond to what's going on in the game, but, his activity, his motor, those types of things, he's a selfless player too, I think, so getting out in transition and just feeling the game and playing with passion, I think, is something that's in him, and I want to just see it more and more and have him, enjoy playing.
Coach, this is your longest homestand to date, I should say.
Yeah.
5 games straight here at State Farm Arena. How does that help alleviate the woes that come with having to travel in and out, even if it's just for 1 game or 2 games at a time?
Yeah, someone told me that I think this is maybe the most road games the Hawks team has played since 67, since the inaugural season. I get that right?
Yeah.
So that that's that can impact you. And walking in today, the people that are working in the arena, sometimes people don't realize it, but like, we've got a group of people that you see when you come in here that pick you up. And they pick you up after a win or after a loss. And I think that's kind of metaphorically what you feel about home. You see your dog and doesn't know if you've won or lost. And really, our fan base, it was something that you didn't play here, being in the Western Conference, a lot, obviously. And it struck me last year, you know, when I started, you know, what a great fan base we had. And I think that's something that you don't take it for granted, but it's easy to kind of, because you're not feeling it when you're gone as much, that you forget about how impactful that can be. And we haven't played our best basketball at home. You know, I hope we haven't played our best basketball yet. But I think being at home for all the things, you know, some of them sounding more significant than others, but it gives you an idea of kind of all the different ways that being at home can touch you and invoke a mindset. And needless to say, it doesn't always translate to a win, but I think it's a good thing for us to have an opportunity to be at home during the stretch.
I know Clint is already out tonight. Is there any concern about Clint and the Achilles moving forward? Is something you're just managing? I know you have depth there, but obviously a key guy.
He is, you know, and he's been really steady and really effective. You know, with injuries, sometimes you're mindful of this as a performance staff and as a head coach, because you're making those decisions. But you know, his minutes have gone up, and you know, you try to be smart about that. I'm not suggesting that is the correlation, but I think in this case, you know, he's getting, you know, he takes great care of himself. And you know, over the course of an 82-game season, you know, even if you do that, there's times when, you know, your body barks at you, you know, and it's not something that we anticipate him being out for a longer period of time, but you always want to put, you know, a player's health first. And so it's something he hasn't felt, and all of a sudden it was real. And you know, in that case, you know, you want to prioritize, you know, his longer term health as opposed to gutting through any one game. I'm not suggesting that that's potential for him to do that either right now. Hopefully it's somewhere in the middle, and he'll be back soon.
Apologies for the randomness of this question, but I know coaches always try
Random's good.
That's good. All right.
Yeah.
Coaches always try to pick other coaches' brains, regardless of the sport. And with Nick Saban retiring in the last half hour, so know if you ever had any interactions with him, learning from him, just talking ball.
You know, when I was in Utah, Holly Rowe, who we all know, she's pretty versatile. But I did have a couple conversations with her about Coach Saban, and an iconic figure. And I think you're right. One of the things that they've been, you know, his teams have always been a model with respect to execution, particularly late, you know, the 4th and 1. I got a signed copy of his book that Holly gave me, so that kind of says it. Someone that you admire. And I think, you know, football for me, my dad was a baseball coach, but the parallels for me, whether it be special teams, you know, it's so, there's a level of detail, I think, with football that's unique, you know, because of the stop action, the preparation that, you know, when you have time to prepare, you as a coach, like, you use all that time. That's why you hear the stories about people sleeping in the office, and that happens. So I think both, you know, what he's done for that sport and his impact across the coaching profession, to see someone that has sustained a level of excellence for that, you know, length of time is something, frankly, you marvel at. You know, anybody that's been in this business knows what it can take out of you, and you know, it's wish him well. And obviously, he's accomplished more than anyone could imagine. Okay.